Previously, in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the party slept safely on the south ledge of the Crossfire Caves. Ezrah, who had taken the last watch, had an uncomfortable visit from Cauldra Cuttlefingers, who was on her way somewhere else. She invited the party to not be strangers, recommended they dispose of bodies into the water, and offered to introduce Ezrah to a cousin of hers named Wormriddle. Ezrah politely put Cauldra off on all accounts, and the Sea Hag left. Later, the party awoke and readied themselves for more exploration. They traversed the river, though with some difficulty, and headed northward into the tunnels, eventually making their way eastward, where they found a second falling stone trap and another impassable dwarven door, as well as the way back to the drow-occupied sections of Stromkolder. From here, the party decided to head back west, further exploring the winding tunnels. They eventually found themselves at a hobgoblin fortification run by Legion Captain Cleuse the Skullcleaver. The party was briefly interrogated before they were escorted to Azrok's hold along a winding tunnel with several offshoot caves. Once they finally arrived in the western ruins of Stromkolder, their escort was given over to a pair of bugbears who took them to the registration center. There, a series of goblin clerks took down their information and filed it away. From the registration center, the party was led directly to the feast hall of Azrok, Legion Commander. There, they spoke with Azrok, an imposing hobgoblin figure dressed in dark iron armor, his face shadowed by his weighty helm. Azrok requested introductions, and the party paid him tribute. For this, Azrok granted them his hospitality, as long as they followed the Legion's laws within the hold. It seemed that Azrok, as well as the similarly dressed woman next to him, thought that that would be the end of the matter. But the party was here to see what the Legion was about, and potentially work with them. Matashtai broached the subject, and Ashes, somewhat bluntly, spoke of the demand for Azrok's head that the drow had already given the party. While this caused some outrage initially, Azrok himself seemed unperturbed by the situation. He was, however, skeptical of an alliance with the party. He required they perform a task to prove that they were worthy of such an alliance. That task was to kill an individual named Kinrob that lived in the southeastern portion of the hold. Azrok didn't demand this of the party, but he did make it clear that he wouldn't consider their offer unless they did this first. After that, he dismissed them, and his mate, Lurkana, escorted them out of the fest hall. Lurkana privately made it clear to the party that this potential alliance would likely be beneficial to all involved, including the city of Waterdeep. With that, the party was escorted southeast. Along the way, they found a crying goblin child whose doll had been stolen. It seemed as though the individual responsible, or at least where the doll had ended up, was the same individual the party had been tasked with killing. When they finally arrived in the southeastern portion of the settlement, they found it almost untraversable. Debris choking the streets, buildings smashed to bits, and narrow winding paths snaking through the area. Their route eventually brought them to the most southeast corner of the hold, at a door marked Krek. Within, they found a small shop filled with odds and ends and second-hand gear. The proprietor was an old hobgoblin, smoking a pipe. Kinrob, their target. The party began to speak with him, trying to figure out the situation, but then 2 hobgoblins arrived to deliver a basket to Kinrob. They seemed nervous, anxious even, and made haste in leaving. Kinrob, for his part, seemed unfazed by the exchange, and returned to speaking to the party. That is when we fade back into the scene as a squalling child is heard from the basket.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.